Recording in progress.
On emotional intelligence. We are letting the room fill up. Really excited for you to be here. I think this is going to be one of our record-breaking webinars with Yemi. Thanks to all of you joining. So let us know in the chat where you're joining from, what you had for breakfast, or what the weather is like where you are. I'm joining from Malawi, and a rainstorm just descended on the city. So we're so happy for you all to be here. We're letting the room fill up. So go ahead and let us know in the chat. We've got someone from Abuja. If you have questions throughout the webinar, we're going to ask that you put them in the Q&A box. We've got people joining from Lagos. Really happy to have you here. Going to give it another minute or so while people having cereal for breakfast. I love it. We've got the Philippines. Welcome, Ian. So happy to have you here. Elizabeth, glad to have you as well. I think we're going to have a really exciting session today. We're going to wait for some more of our friends to join, and exciting to see all the different things folks are having for breakfast, where you're joining from. We have Australia, Philippines, South Africa, Lagos. I'm joining from Malawi. I don't think I can even get in the chat fast enough. It's really wonderful to have you all here, and we're excited for this webinar. Oh, we have someone coming in from Mali. Welcome. That's great. Okay, so I think the entry is slowing down a little bit, not a ton, but we want to go ahead and make sure we have enough time to answer questions at the end. So welcome. My name is Jennifer Bongura. I am the Director of Career Innovation at Nexford University, and I am thrilled to be here today with Yemi Fashion, who is one of our mentors as part of the Global Grid Initiative. And Yemi, I'm sure you saw it in the registration page, but he's an author, a business leader with over 30 years in multi-sector, multifunction experience. So he works with clients as a chief talent officer to drive talent and business transformation agendas. And he's here today to talk with us about leading with emotional intelligence. And again, I'm sure if you saw on the registration page what he's going to be covering, it obviously resonated with you. I know I'm super excited. I'm just going to do a few housekeeping rules. First, if you have questions, and I know you'll have them, look at the bottom of your screen. You'll see a Q&A box. Please put any questions in there. You can see we have so many attendees. It's going to be too hard to keep an eye on the chat. So if you have a question for Yemi and you want us to answer it at the end of the webinar, please put it in the Q&A and we'll be sure to cover it there. A sound check, if everyone's, hopefully you're able to hear me. Raymond, if you want to check your speakers. Second, so we're gonna have time for Q&A. You will be getting a badge at the end of this session, so that will be coming within 24 hours, in addition to a copy of the deck that Yemi will be using. And if you have need any support, you can email help@nexford.org to get that. Thank you to everyone who's sharing in the chat where you're joining from. We want this to be an interactive, engaging session. So again, my name is Jennifer Bongura. Leave those questions in the Q&A, and without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our mentor, Yemi. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you're listening or watching us from. Thank you for joining. We don't take your 1-hour investment in this program for granted at all. We really appreciate the fact that you're joining the conversations. All right, so it's really about great workplaces for me in terms of the context for this conversation. How do we get more organizations to be less toxic? And one of the ways we can do that is to have leaders who will be leading with a good dose of emotional intelligence. And that's what I'm going to be talking about. So if you just give me about 2 seconds, I'll try and share my screen and then we'll roll straight into it. Okay. So please confirm that you can see my screen.
Looks great.
You can confirm?
Yes, confirm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jennifer. Okay, so let's go straight into it. Leading with emotional intelligence. And it's going to follow this kind of format. We're going to be looking at the background, which I already gave, the reason for the conversations. Let's have great workplaces globally. And this is not just about a continent or about a country. We're looking at a global village. Let's have great workplaces, more great workplaces. But we'll start with emotional intelligence itself, because you can't give what you don't have. So we'll try and lay some ground rules around emotional intelligence, what it is and what it is not. And then we'll go to what I consider as 5 major characteristics of very emotionally intelligent people. And we'll just also consider, when are you high on emotional intelligence and when are you low on emotional intelligence. There are some behaviors that will be obvious to people around you. And if you're self-aware, which is part of what we're going to be talking about, those features or characteristics or behaviors will also be very, very obvious to you. But then we'll look at the intersection between emotional intelligence and leadership. Where are they meeting? Where are we leading with just the heart? Why we should also consider when we are leading with just the heart. It's an intersection of the head and the heart. We'll look at the outcomes of emotional leadership. What do we see in workplaces? What are the outcomes within the team, within the unit, within the functions, and within the organization? What are we likely to see? I'll call you to do a self-diagnosis, give my final thoughts, and then we'll take the Q&A right after that. So let's go into it. So like I said, the reason we're going into this is not because it is a fancy conversation to have. No, it's not because everybody is talking about emotional intelligence. Okay, Nexford and Yemi, let's talk about it. No, it's because we want better outcomes for employees in organizations. Like I said, we want to have better workplaces. Because of what the pandemic has done to the world in the last 2 years, a lot is happening around mental health and stability and well-being in workplaces. So we're looking for leaders. This is a quest for leadership that will aid the well-being of the workforce in the now of work. Because a lot has changed about work. A lot has changed about the workforce. A lot has changed about the workplace itself. And we need leaders who are going to rise up to the occasion and not take their old selves into a new normal. The new normal, the now of work, is asking for leaders who can, who should, who must lead with emotional intelligence. So what is emotional intelligence not? It is not the opposite of intelligence. It's not that you lack intellectual intelligence and therefore the way to fill the gap is the root of emotional intelligence. Absolutely not. It is not the triumph of the heart over the head. At the end of the day, we all still come to the organization on a daily basis, either remote, in-person, or hybrid, because the organization must remain a going concern. The KPIs are still important. We can't neglect that. The place of competence is still there. The place of consequence management is still there. We can't neglect that, but it is not one or the other. It is the unique intersection of the heart and the head. So please, let's clarify that important ground rule. When you come to the place of work, as a leader or as a team member, please do not bring only emotional intelligence to the workplace and think that that is all you need to succeed. Your technical abilities in the frame of intellectual intelligence, IQ, it's very, very important. It's therefore a combination of IQ and EQ. So what I'm saying to you is that to IQ add EQ. It is not one or the other. So it's an intersection of both. And what is emotional intelligence? No other person to define this for us than the father of modern emotional intelligence, Daniel Goleman. And he says that it's the ability to understand and manage your own emotions. So it starts with self. It doesn't start outwardly. It starts with the individual. You need to be able to understand yourself, understand your emotions, manage your emotions, and then you can take it a step further by understanding and finding a way to manage the emotions of other people around you. That's, in a nutshell, that's what it is. It's understanding of self and understanding of other people. It is understanding how you respond to external stimuli in the first instance, and how other people around you also respond to external stimuli, and how we harness the energy in the room for positive results for the unit, for the department, for the organization. So it is not a replacement for IQ. It is not, it is, oh, I do not have the technical ability to do something, therefore I must have emotional intelligence. Absolutely not. It's a combination of both. Okay, so why is it important? Why is emotional important especially again in today's world? 80%, and this is data suggesting to us that 80% to 90% of competencies clearly differentiate top performance in the domain of emotional intelligence. That's the reality. If you can work with other people very well, then you can foster individual and organizational success. If you can work on your own, you can achieve some success to some extent. But if you want to go farther than what only you can achieve in terms of results for yourself, for the unit, and for the organization, it goes without saying that you need to work with other people and understand them. And when we are in touch with ourselves, and then we are in touch with other people, we're able to have better control of the outcomes of our words and our actions, and also the responses that we give to the words and actions of other people. So it's on the continuum from self to other people. We will be able to say, okay, I mean, this individual, the makeup is because of XYZ. I am not going to change that. However, what I can control, what I have absolute control over, is how I respond to such either emotional outburst, positive, negative, and also how I am able to find the best balance for myself and for other people. So it's important. If you want to go far, I mean, an African proverb, I think, says, if you want to go far, you can go alone. But if you want to go farther, then you've got to go with other people. And that is the reason why emotional intelligence is extremely important. Okay, so moving on. 3, and this is by no means exhaustive, but 3, what I consider as 3, the tripod of emotional intelligence is starting from self, right? You need to understand who you are. There must be self-reflection. What am I about? What is my makeup? What triggers me? What makes me happy? What brings out the aggression in me? Who am I? And this is the space that I call the point of a personal conference with yourself. You know, the kind of conference that you are the only audience. And you say to yourself, who am I? What am I? What am I about? So it's number 1, self-reflection. Number 2 is self-soothing. And I've said this before, that find a way to validate yourself rather than looking for external validation. I'll say that again. Always find a way to validate yourself rather than looking for external validation. And I've found out that those who constantly are looking for external validation, they're not emotionally intelligent because they're not in tune with themselves. First, validate yourself. Validate yourself, and once you are at the point where you are fully self-validated, it goes without saying, it's a matter of course, external validation will only be supplementary or complementary to your self-soothing mode of operation. But if you're constantly looking for other people to validate you, to give you joy, to give you happiness, looking for things outside of you, then you've not really understood who you are and the things that should trigger your fancies. So please, it's self-reflection, understanding yourself, self-soothing in terms of validating yourself, and of course, empathy. And empathy is when we now start looking at third parties. You are relating, because self-reflection and self-soothing, those are empathy towards self. But you now take it a step further by being empathetic towards other people. Remember, we said that if you want to achieve better results, then you've got to work with people. You need to make a conscious effort, deliberately and intentionally, to understand where people are coming from, and therefore show empathy from time to time. People will be able to relate, connect with you more if they see that you understand them and where they're coming from. Moving on quickly. So things that I will be looking out for instance, if I am in a room and searching for an emotionally intelligent individual, I'll be looking for change agents, individuals who are not afraid of risks. They will take risks. Taking risks does not mean that we've mitigated all possible variables. But the point is we have tried, but we will take a risk. Two possible outcomes: we succeed or we fail. If we succeed, we move on. If we fail, we learn and we move on as well. But we're looking for change agents. We're looking in the domain of emotionally intelligent people. We're looking for individuals who will not allow their identified weaknesses hold them down. The areas of improvement will be there, but they are not an obstacle to progressing. But from a self-awareness perspective, I know the things that I need to work on, but it's not going to hold me back. There are individuals who know exactly how they feel. So if Jennifer asks me, Amy, how are you doing today? I'm not sure, I'm just feeling somehow. No, emotionally intelligent people will tell you, I am sad because of XYZ. I am burnt out because of pressure at work. They will be direct and know exactly what is wrong with them. We're looking for individuals, like I said, who are empathetic. They can relate with others. They can't relate with only words, but they can also relate with feelings. And that's one major domain of emotional intelligence. Relating with your feelings and also being able to relate with the feelings of other people is being emotionally intelligent. I'll be looking for individuals who are balanced. They know how to maintain balance and practice self-care. So it's not about an outward conversation all the time. If you want to make everybody happy, then maybe you should be selling ice cream and not be in the workplace, for instance. But the reality is we're looking for individuals who are going to balance both parallels of self and other people. It has to be, both must be in harmony for us to be emotionally intelligent. And we're looking for, I use the word gracious, positively minded people. The glass is not always empty. For them, there are always possibilities. For them, champions will emerge out of challenges. They always see, yes, I'm going through this right now, but there will be opportunities to make things better. They will fail, don't get it wrong, but they will not get stuck in the rut of failure. They will quickly learn the things that work, the things that didn't work, and then move on to make things better. So it's a 360-degree journey. Emotional, it's not one-sided. It's not one side of life. It's not just about your ability to do one thing. And I have positioned them in about 5 areas. It's in the area of self-perception, how you see yourself. Number 2, self-expression. So it is not just enough for you to be able to say, this is who I am. You should also be able to say, to me, this is who I am. And that was why I give the example. Jennifer asked me, I mean, how are you? I'll be able to say, I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling burnt out. I'm feeling overwhelmed, because I am able to express exactly how I feel. Individuals who have great interpersonal skills. At this point, this is where I say, people ask a lot, what does it really mean to have great interpersonal skills? And this is my summary of it. Every time you have an interaction with people, leave value behind. Leave them asking for more. Leave them waiting to have further interaction with you, right? Don't be in the point or at the point where you've spent 15 minutes only and people are saying, when is he leaving? When is she leaving? But be at the point where you spend 5 minutes and people say, I can't wait to be within the circle or in an environment where the individual is again. And this is because you exude positive energy. People are drawn to you, not only because of the things you say, but also because of your body language. Your interpersonal skills are great. Spend 5 minutes, spend 15 minutes, spend 15 hours, but just have an attitude that draws other people to you. It's in the area of decision making. Remember, I said that we will not always succeed as emotionally intelligent people. At times we will fail. In fact, life doesn't give everyone an opportunity to succeed always. At times we will win, get 3 points like Arsenal. At times you get a draw, and at times you might lose like Man United last night. But again, yeah, that's life, right? That's the point is, at every juncture, you must be able to say, this is it, and then I'll take a decision. Risks, failure, sacrifices will not hold you back as an emotionally intelligent person to take a decision. You will look at the various mitigants and then take a decision. It's better for you to take a decision and not succeed immediately than to not take a decision at all. That is someone with low emotional intelligence. And the last one is stress management. We all get to that point where your body is saying to you, take it easy. Are you listening? Do you understand how important it is for you to have well-being that is all-rounded? And it's not just about, I can do more every time, I can do more. No, it's about understanding. And I think it was Stephen Covey who said, you need to know when to sharpen the axe. You need to just take time off and say, hey, this is not the time to do anything. I'm just going to down tool and refresh so that I can be fully useful to myself and then to other people. So when you have low emotional intelligence, when you are always confrontational, your ego is taller than 6'4" that I am. You are fully demanding, right? Those are expressions of low emotional intelligence. You are easily distracted. Your focus is not solid, right? At work or anywhere. For listener, you resist change every time because you are comfortable in the same old as see situation. When you are always critical and fuzzy and you are hard to please, we will use the expression of low emotional intelligence to describe you. But at the other end of the continuum, when you are assertive, ambitious, decisive, and strong-willed, when you are warm to other people, when you are sociable and persuasive, when you can express yourself in a way that convinces other people and you have an influencing or bearing effect on other people, when you are patient, stable, consistent, and you are a good listener, people just want to be in your company because that guy is just going to listen. That woman is going to listen. Even if you don't offer the solution, right? He or she will listen. And finally, when you are detailed, careful, when you are systematic about life, of course, when you are neat, we say that those are expressions of an individual with high emotional intelligence. So who are you? Look at the pictures from the left to the right of your screen. Who are you? What expression describes you 80 to 90% of the time? Is it the bewildered expression, you don't know what's going on? You're a wonderful person because you're always wondering what's going on. Or are you passive? Are you lost most times? Are you aggressive and giving out negative vibes and negative energy in the room? Or you're just assertive and you draw people to you? So look at the pictures and think for a second about yourself. Who are you from an emotional intelligence perspective, right? The lady at the center is who or where we should be. Warm, understanding self, confidence, and able to also invite other people into our inner circles. So what does it mean? So that's the background to emotional intelligence itself, because you can't give what you don't have. If you are not emotionally intelligent, then you can't lead with it. So where are you as a leader in the scheme of things in your team, in your unit? So people, your team members are lost. They're crying for help. They don't understand what's going on. They are totally, they have no idea of, in terms of how to do the job that you're doing, but you are not present. They can't see you. They can't feel you. Then we can't say that you are leading with emotional intelligence. For you to be a leader with a high degree of emotional intelligence, you've got to be present in their moment. And I said about 2 or 3 days ago on my WhatsApp status, I said that leaders must be leaders of one and not leaders of many. So if you've got 3 people in your team, you've got to understand how to manage each person in the team and not have a standard rule for managing all 3 of them, or all 5 of them, or all 7 of them. We must strive towards being leaders of one. And that is understanding where each person is within the team and therefore being present in their moments. Who are you in terms of how you lead? Do you lead with the heart or do you just lead with the brain? For you, it's just about do the job. It's my KPI. It's my report. It's my deliverable. It's clocking at work at 8 o'clock and clocking at 5. It should not be an either or situation for leaders with emotional intelligence. It's a combination of both. If you can't buy their hearts, then you might find it difficult to sell your vision. It's a combination of both. There must be a great degree of connectedness between you and the individuals you lead. So where are you in terms of the people that you lead? How are they connected with you? Are they just connected with you because that's the boss? He will give us orders. He will give us our KPIs to deal with. He will give us our feedback at the end of the year, mid-year, or at the end of the quarter? Or are you the boss who will say, yes, you are late to work the second time, the third time this week? What's going on? Rather than HR give a query, he or she has been coming late to work. Are you connected with the individual? Do you understand what's going on? Are you present again? Are you present in what's going on with them? Or is it just about the job? It's not one or both. So here's the thing. Don't lead only with the heart and be fuzzy, warm, and all that, and the job doesn't get done. That is the place of being passive. And that sort of leader is still very low on emotional intelligence. So as we're addressing the need for connectedness, we must also address the need around the purpose for why we're here. The ideal, the reason for being, it's still very important. But what great leaders with emotional intelligence, what they've been able to do is to find that great balance between leading with the heart and leading with the brain, or leading with just do what I tell you to do, and leading with we are in this together, how may I help you? So it's not one of the other, it's actually both, all right? So this is where the intersection is, what I just explained. So for one leader, we are just looking at the objectives. We are looking at the result. We are planning for next month, for next week, for next year. We are about the tasks. Guys, the numbers are not adding up. What's going on? Hit the road, go and sell. That's one leader. For the leader, it's just about doing. I want to see activities that will lead to results, right? And that's a thought manager, a manager who's leading by basically with the brain, because the connection with the individual, the connection of the leader to the organization is about the job. And the connection of that leader with team members is also about the job. So it's about doing. It's about what must be done to achieve the numbers. But leaders with emotional intelligence will go a bit further. They will go below the line. Above the line is extremely important. Like I have said, we cannot ignore it. But great leaders with emotional intelligence will go below the line. Not just about doing, but also about being. Who am I to you as a leader? Can I sell the vision? Have you bought into me as an individual so that I can then sell the vision of the organization to you, or the unit, or the department? They are empathetic. They are a source of motivation and inspiration. They will listen. They will concentrate on values of the organization and realize that values are not the things that we write on the walls of the organization or on the website, but they are the things that the leader role models on a daily basis. That is a place of leading with emotional intelligence. So you are emotion leader when you are at the point of listening, when you are at the point of design thinking. I do not have all the answers. We are a team. Can we co-create the solutions, right? I know that I have said that the job of a team member is to make the boss shine. I have said this before. And what great leaders also do is that they don't ever forget to give credit back to the team. Those are the elements of great or high emotional intelligence that we find in a leader, right? While on one side, we are saying, make your boss shine by helping him with the doing, with the planning, with the numbers, with the objectives, with the results and all that. Also, because the boss, the leader, is now connected with us at an emotional level and is selling the vision, is motivating us, giving us meaning and purpose. It's not just about the salary. Reflecting on self and reflecting on us shows empathy and role models the values. We will find great leaders who, after all that is said and done, will always give credit back to the team. And what happens? It becomes a win-win situation. We are working for you to make sure you get the numbers, right? And you are working with us to make sure that we are emotionally balanced by being the right sort of leader. Then at that intersection, it can only be a win-win situation. So what kind of leader are you? Are you a doing leader or are you a being leader? So I begin to ramp down by saying that if we have more leaders with emotional leadership in organizations, you are likely to see, like I said, reduced toxicity in workplaces. And 6 things that are likely to be evident within a team where there is a leader with a high emotional intelligence. Reduced staff turnover. We are all aware of what's going on. Read the Great Resignation era right now. And maybe years ago, we would have said it's about the remuneration. People want more money. But I think in the last couple of years, the quest for money as reason for being or reason for engagement has gone to maybe number 5 or number 6 right now. Top on the list is employee-employer relationship, leader-teammate relationship. So once there is a connection and we have an emotion leader, right? Not an emotional leader, an emotion leader at the helm of affairs, you are likely to see reduced staff turnover because everybody wants to work with such a leader. As a matter of fact, what you will find is other people in other departments and other units of the organization might be struggling to come into that particular team because everybody wants to work with that leader. Such leaders are the individuals who help to bring the best out of people. And let's not kid ourselves. In today's world, they are in short supply. And that's the reason, one of the reasons for this conversation. Leaders with emotional intelligence are in short supply. And if you find yourself within that space, therefore, you will find that people are glued to you. Even if they want to leave to another organization for whatever reason, you'll be the first to know. You definitely will be the first to know. But what we find is that leaders without emotional intelligence, the only way to find out when their team members have left the organization is through HR. Letter of resignation is just sent to HR. Something is wrong. There is a kind of disconnect, right? But clearly, if we are both a being and a doing leader, we are likely to see reduced turnover in our unit, in our department, and also in our organization. There will be increased personal well-being. And I did say that this is driving so many things right now. Because we talk to young people almost every day, well-being has become, mental health issues has become #1 priority for people to retain their psychological and social contract with organizations. So the question is, as leaders, are we providing that psychological safety for our employees to the point where they can therefore bring their total self to work? Or are we at a point where it's almost Monday again and people are dreading to be on the road to go to work or log in remotely to go to work because I don't know what I'm going to find again? I mean, whether we like it or not, it's become a very, very concerning issue. Right now, people are going to extreme ends of depression because they're not finding that joy or well-being where they were. But if you want to have increased personal well-being within the team, please lead with emotional intelligence. Connect more with the people you lead. Increase leadership ability. And great leaders don't build followers. Great leaders build other leaders. So if you want to have increased leadership ability within the team itself, it starts with you as a leader. Your level of emotional intelligence on a daily basis, dealing with the issues that are coming out of work and things within the scope of work and things without the scope of work, the ability to deal with them with emotional intelligence will speak to how much of leadership ability we groom within the team. Decrease occupational stress goes without saying. Because there is joy and well-being within the team, people want to do more. They want to be more. Decision making will be a lot better, because don't forget, we are grooming other leaders within the team. There is connection and connectedness with the leader, and the aggregate of all of that is increased team performance. People will just be wondering, how is your team able to deliver so much? It's not because of all the activities going on. It's actually all the activities beneath the surface, where connectedness happens, the place of being rather than the place of doing. Okay, so let's do a self-diagnosis. And I'm not saying you should give me a response, but just mentally go through it. Where are you? Just check your gauge right now. How do you feel physically? Burnt out? Unhappy? Your gauge is on red. Or you feel a sense of certainty, that balance, that place of balance. Remember when we said you balance both the being and the doing? Your team is not giving you a headache. As a matter of fact, you are constantly looking at ways to sustain the continued connection between yourself and your team members, i.e., you don't want them to leave. You are constantly looking for other opportunities for them. There's a sense of certainty around you, around your team, and around the organization. Or are you at a place where everything is urgent? You are always firefighting. Something is wrong with your emotional balance in the way you lead the team. So check it. The best place to be is a point of certainty. You know what's going on with you. You know what's going on with the team or the people you lead, and you're able to therefore achieve better results. Okay, so these are my final thoughts as I begin to make the final descent. Leadership is a burden. It's not in the title. It's not in the pecs. Everybody wants to be a manager, senior manager, executive director, and all that. But let's be clear about it. Leadership is a burden. And if you're not ready to continue or to start that journey, to take on self-burden and then the burden of other people in the team that you lead, then you can't embark successfully on that journey. What's more important is the quality of our connectedness within the team and not the number of followers. It's not that I lead a 35-man team or I lead a 4-man team. I'm growing in my career. How connected are you? The question I'm going to ask there is, what words or adjectives do you think your team members will be saying, will be using to describe you when you are not there? Will those words and adjectives show connectedness, or will it show a team that can't wait to find other things to do? So check your level and your gauge of connectedness with your team. It is the quality that matters. Great leaders first buy hearts, and then they can sell the vision. Because the connection is first and foremost with the hearts of the people you lead. If you are doing a heart sell of the vision, you are likely to see a tick of the box. Yes, we hear you, we can do it, but it doesn't buy the commitment into the enterprise, into the vision. But if you are connected at the deeper level and you're connected with their hearts and they can buy into you as a person, they can buy into your vision. Leadership is nothing but a privilege. And we are on a continuum. We are a leader today in a particular environment or context. The story might change tomorrow. So see leadership as a privilege, and therefore do all that you can to therefore leave great vibes behind. so that when the time is done on this particular thing, people want to follow you through. And you're not just a leader because you are a director, you're a manager. You can be in another organization and people are still connected with you. So see leadership as a privilege. It was this guy recently, D.H. Dagley, who says that when those we lead make wrong turns, what emotionally intelligent leaders should do is to be like Google Maps. Redirect, don't yell. So he says that imagine if every time we are following Google Maps as the leader now, in this instance on a journey, and you make a wrong turn, what happens? There is no yelling. It's just a couple of seconds of redirecting us to where we want to go. That's what great leaders with emotional intelligence do. They redirect towards the purpose, towards the direction of the team or the unit of the function. And the last thing I'm saying to everyone here is we all have that image of the kind of leader that we're looking for, organization, countries, companies, teams, and all that. But that change, that journey starts with us. It starts with the individual. So the more you have the ideal picture of the leader that is a role model to you or you want to be like, the more I'm saying to you, check yourself. Be first that leader, because change starts with us. So this disclaimer is to say that some of the pictures I've used in this presentation, they are not mine. They just helped me to put my thoughts pictorially for our visual learners. And that's why I've used them. So please, nobody should sacrifice me on the altar of plagiarism. They are not my originals. Okay. All right, Jennifer, that's it. That's where I'm going to leave it. And if we have questions, comments, contributions, this is time to do it. Thank you very much.
Wow, Yemi. I know we have a digital round of applause going here because the chat has been on fire. I think if people are joining from mobile, they've been seeing their screen being taken up by the comments. I don't know if you sent out something before, but like everybody is just on fire for you. And clearly it's just the caliber of your content and what you're sharing, because I was copying some of the quotes, and I have my notebook here of everything I'm writing down. So I just want to say thank you. Really rich discussion and presentation. And I think something that, again, we had our first webinar with Raymond, yours right now on emotional intelligence. We're going to be having one in a couple of weeks with Cybele. You are sharing information that no matter where someone is in their career, I think whether they're entry level, I think it's even better if people are already a few years in, because we need that reminder. People think, you get comfortable and you get somewhere and like, oh, I've got it. I've learned the things I need to learn. The information that you just shared is just truly such a great reminder for all of us to take in. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you,
so many wonderful comments in the chat. And again, I hope I can collect them to share with you after, so you can have some digital kudos for you.
Thank you.
Q&A has been also on fire. So we had a few questions come in beforehand. So I'm going to turn to those and then see how many we can get through in the Q&A. I hope that people will follow you on LinkedIn. You're welcome to follow me, but certainly if you aren't already following Yemi on LinkedIn, look at his name, look him up. You've got to follow. He shares the best Monday motivation insights. And we will be sharing this recording afterwards. So don't worry, you don't have to share your email in the chat. We will send it to you along with a deck and a badge. And I'm going to issue a challenge to people, because people were already quoting you in the chat. So if you want to share your takeaway when you share your badge from this session, I would love to see it. Tag me, tag Yemi, tag Nexford. We would love to hear what some of your takeaways have been around emotional intelligence. Without further ado, what have you found? You've worked for some really incredible companies, seen people go through their entire stages of their career. What do you think those skills that are most important for career progression?
All right. So I think this is how I'll quickly respond to that. At the level when we start our career, what's important for us is IQ, and that is intellectual intelligence. And that is a combination of technical skills relevant to the role, plus soft skills. Let's not wait until we become managers before we start building skills around managing people, right? So soft skills of communication, soft skills of networking within the organization, without the organization, we need to start building those skills very quickly. But don't forget the base, the start point is your technical skills relevant to the role that you're doing. You can't afford to be found wanting in that space. But as you now progress, IQ is not enough. And that's the reason, one of the reasons we're having this conversation, to say that as you progress your career, you now need to add emotional intelligence to your technical skills. And that's the point when we assumed already that you can do those things technically, but we want to move you to another pedestal where you can now manage people to get results. And you can't manage people successfully if you don't have a great dose of emotional intelligence, right? So you need to now understand yourself, understand other people, and like I said at the beginning of the presentation, be able to harness all the energies in the room, positive and negative, to the point where you get results for the organization. So it's a combination of both, IQ and EQ. But it doesn't stop there. As you now progress again to start managing bigger teams like functions or divisions or the organization itself, you also need to add political intelligence, because political naivety has been the death of many as they climb the ladder of their career. You need to understand the interplay of politics, influence, and power in the organization. And this is not the point where I'm saying you should play politics. I'm just saying that your level of organizational awareness must be very high, because you must be able to sell ideas and projects to busy executives and be able to influence and convince them. Don't wait until you start putting your slides together and presenting in the boardroom. You got to do something in the background so that you can get buy-in. So it's IQ, it's EQ, it's PQ, and as we progress, it's a combination of technical and soft skills for success.
That's great. And I really like, because I think what we often see and hear from all people want to blame others, right? We feel it's natural of like, oh, it's this, my boss is bad, or this thing. And that could be true. And we have to think about what is in our control, our sphere of control. And we have to start with ourselves. And I'm saying this as much to myself as I am to anybody else. So I love that message that you shared throughout. And I think what's really powerful is, you know, we chose our mentors for the Global Grid Initiative because you align with these institutional level outcomes that are woven throughout all of our Nexford courses. So I'm going to share a link if people want to check it out. But, you know, we talk about emotional intelligence in our MBA program and in the art of communication and doing MBAs with, you know, in global business. And I think it's just so powerful that you like consistently have to not only we need to learn about it and we need to put it into practice. And that's something that's really important to us at Nexford. So I know that the answer to this question, but I want to hear it from you. So do soft skills become more important in leadership roles?
Yes, no doubt. Yes. Remember I said that when you are at the level of being led, what's more important is leading self, right? And then being able on your own, being able to interact with your boss and maybe your team members to get results in your own small space. But by the time we call you a manager, we expect a shift in the technical and the soft skills, because we've assumed that you can do those things technically. So your ability to manage people will be about 60 or 70%, and then your technical abilities will be about 30%. That is a shift. So yes, I totally believe that whilst we're not saying that you should be technically incompetent, what I'm saying is that your soft skills will give you more success as you climb the ladder.
Right. No, so it's absolutely a both and. That's great. And so how valuable is an MBA when it comes to learning those soft skills?
Well, I mean, at the MBA school, I did mine a long time ago. I mean, Nexford was not around. That was about 2 decades plus ago. I probably would have done with Nexford. But the point is, honestly, I can't remember that I was taught anything technical at the MBA school. It's actually just preparing you for the world of work. and from a leadership perspective, honestly. And it's an all-round thing. So it touches every area: operations management, it touches human resources, it touches accounting. I mean, I struggle with that, I must say. Management, accounting, and it's again a 360 view, so that we are getting individuals ready who will start leading teams, leading departments, and leading the organization. So it is clearly a route to becoming great leaders in organizations. It's something I would recommend for leaders who have not been made ready for leadership positions, but they found themselves there, or would be leaders, individuals who are getting themselves ready for the leadership positions.
No, that's great. I mean, and this is the lifelong learning that you're talking about that we're all going through of we can't stagnate and have that one job and not expect to need to continue to grow. And you, I think, talked about sharpening your axe and like finding that education is really that way that we can continue to like monitor ourselves within the, you know, broader like ecosystem. And so I love that. So we like the Q&A. Wow, we have so many questions here. I'm trying to see where we can start. So let's see, we can go ahead and start with, let's see, how about, this is interesting from Paul. He says, are we managing emotions or managing how we react to our emotions?
We're managing both. Mm-hmm. We're managing both. So from a self perspective, we're managing our emotions and how we respond, like I said, to external stimuli, the things that trigger us, right? And then from the other perspective of third parties, we are managing how we respond to their emotions. So it's both understanding yourself, your emotional balance or imbalance, and continually work on it so that you can be the best and your expression is at the center, not assertive, not passive, but not aggressive, not passive, but always assertive. Now you've got to be able to understand your emotions and manage your emotions and also respond to other people's emotions. So it's a combination of both. Depends on where you're looking at it from. Self, manage it, right? Other people, respond to it appropriately.
And that's great. Thank you. So and this is an interesting one. So can you have emotional intelligence or EQ, even if you're an introvert?
Okay, so I'm going to throw a couple of people off balance right now. I am actually an introvert.
Wow.
Yes, I have done my, what's it called now? The psychometrics. I've done it like a couple of times, and believe me, I'm more introverted than extroverted. It's at about 52-48% more introvert. Mm-hmm. So it's not a personality style thing. It's an individual thing. So yes, straight to the point, can you be emotionally intelligent even with your personality style? Definitely. It's for you to start that journey inward first to understand yourself and how you respond to yourself and then respond to others. That's the most important rather than your personality style.
That's great. So let's see. What role does an organization's culture play in determining a leader's approach to leading his or her team with emotional intelligence?
A whole lot.
Thank you, Tina.
It's everything. Culture is everything. If a leader looks at the mirror, what he or she should see is the culture of the organization. Culture is not the things that we say we do. Culture is actually what we do and what we consistently do. So the leader is, and I'm not using leadership from an executive perspective only. I'm always, when I use leader, I'm talking about leader of 3, leader of 5, of units, of function. We are all role models of the organization. And if I want to extend that question, where the individual is thinking, what happens if you're a great leader or you want to be a great leader and the environment you find yourself is toxic? This is what I will say to you. You might not be able to change the weather on the street, but you can change the temperature in the room. Let your influence be within the team that you lead. There will always be a boomerang effect eventually. Nothing you can do about the toxic environment, excuse me, out there, but within your team, all the things we've been talking about in terms of leading with emotional intelligence, let it be evident. And I promise you, because of the results that will come out of those interactions within your team, other people will come ask you how you do it. Then we can start having that culture conversation within the organization itself.
I love that. I'm over here snapping and clapping. So I want to combine two questions here we have from Eric and Fidelia, because I think that it's something that a lot of us, I know I've experienced, but so Fidelia's question is, how do you balance this in a high toxic work environment? And Eric's is, I would like to know how one can control him or herself, especially when angry, so far as emotional intelligence is concerned. So what do you recommend for people here who maybe you are living in that toxic work environment, and like you're feeling where you are on that spectrum that you showed with the slide is like all the way on the red. So how do you navigate that?
Okay, so I will give credit to the response. Give credit to Oyinkansola Alabi. We call her the emotions doctor in Nigeria, and she recommended the 6-second pause. Before you respond, give yourself 6 seconds. When your gauge is towards the aggressive, red, negative vibes, when the circumstances surrounding you may let you let out aggressively, give yourself a 6-second pause. And she says, don't respond with iOS 1.0. Give yourself the 6 seconds and do iOS 2.0, which is the response that most people are not expecting. I promise you there might be one individual in this on this call right now who worked with me, and there was a time in my career that I stood in front of my team and my managing director was shredding me in front of my team for like 30-40 minutes, on and on and on. I did not say a word. At the end of it, was I upset? Madly upset, because I was at a senior level and I didn't expect that to happen. But I didn't say anything. All I said was, okay, we've heard you, we will go back, do the rework, and we'll come back to you. This individual came to me and said, YF, how did you do it? That if it was me, I probably would have stormed out of the room, I would have responded and all that. It's the 6-second pause rule, right? If it's not going to add positively to the conversation, don't say it. Just take your time. That is the place of emotional intelligence.
That's powerful. And thank you for sharing that vulnerability, because I think too, a lot of people think, you get to the top and like you've never had a negative interaction or experience in your life, and you're speaking from firsthand experience, and like many of us have experienced. And so I think that's really powerful. So thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, you're coming out the bigger man. I mean, literally, you're so tall. Oh, that's funny. So here, Elizabeth asks of how can you be, and there are a lot of questions here around this, the connectedness and finding a good balance, but of being too connected, how connected is too connected. So how can you be emotionally connected with your team without them taking advantage of your friendliness to slack off, or striking that balance?
So just anytime that question comes to you, the individual who's asking, or anyone listening to me, just remember the intersection. You must always remember that intersection, right? Where you must be balanced. So it is not being green all the time, touchy-feely, happy, easygoing, and all that. And then you neglect what must be done, and you're therefore taken advantage of. So like I said, not passive, always green, not aggressive, always red, but a kind of intersection where you are weaving. And if you remember that slide, it actually shows that you are weaving in and out of the line. So you are not always above the line, you are not always below the line, but you are through the line. So there is time for everything. As much as we preach emotional intelligence and we preach connectedness and we preach doing, we also must be aware that there's a place for consequence management. That's the reality. I did say that the organization exists to be a going concern. And if we are all touchy-feely doing, there will be a problem. And if we are all being, of course, there will be a problem. But where we need to be is that intersection where we are weaving in and out, and that is emotional intelligence for context. It is the context that determines our behavior, therefore, from time to time.
That's really powerful. I'm wondering too, so I had a question come in. Isaac asked around how do you manage a staff with low self-esteem? And I think too, the flip side of this is leaders, and I'm sure we have many of them on our call who, if they're dealing with imposter syndrome or feeling like they aren't where, anywho, how do you manage that and navigate that?
Remember that I said that what great leaders do is to build other leaders. So also the time you give to, I also said that you have to be a leader of one. So the time that you give to individuals within the team will differ based on their needs. Work with them. They're not going to change overnight, individuals who with low self-esteem and all that. But if you are a true role model within the team and you are not passive or aggressive, you have charisma, you've got competence, you've got character, they want to be like you. That's the reality. So the more you role model the values you want to see, the more others consciously and unconsciously want to be like you. Quick example, I worked with a boss at some point in my career who had a little limp, the way he walks. But because I had great respect for him, I totally wanted to be like him. I was walking like him. I just had to check myself and, hey, Yemi, what's going on here? You're already walking like this guy. That's because I had great respect for him. He connected with me as an individual, and I saw him as a role model. So it is not for us to see them as timid and shy, low self-esteem. What is our level of connectedness with them? Are we working with them, helping them, role modeling the things that we need, that they need to see in a leader, and then they can connect with us and say, I want to be like that boss. I want to be like that leader. That should work. Give them time. Stay with them.
That's powerful. And I guess too, I'm seeing questions of like, how can I get my organization to be more emotionally intelligent? Of course, you can come bring Yemi on to do training. I suppose too, you could do some subtle, share the link of the recording of this session with all your friends and family of, subtle reminder for everybody. This is wonderful. So Yemi, I want to respect your time. Do you have time for another question?
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Let's do one more. All right. So, let's see, where do we have this great one? How this is a thing too. Let's see. I'm sorry. Judith is asking about how you can cope in a toxic work environment, especially when you have limited options to leave.
Okay, so emotionally intelligent people will not say that they have limited options to leave. You've got options. To life itself, there are options, or there is an option. So emotionally intelligent people will not say that there are no options. And I hear that a lot. People say there are no options, and therefore they keep up with a lot of toxicity, right? Start with self. Get yourself ready for the market. What's the market asking for? If you have built yourself and you've developed yourself to the point where the market is looking for the skills that you have, then we can't say that there are limited options. So what do? Make sure that you respond not in like manner to a toxic environment. Be different. Respond differently. However, make a plan to exit. I always say that. The organization might not change because of you. We can put all the leaders of the organization in a room and take them through emotional intelligence. They may not change. You've got yourself, you owe yourself a duty of care or care of duty, or both, whichever comes first, to say that this is not going to change and I can't continue to suffer mental degradation because of toxicity. Therefore, make a plan to exit. I'm not saying leave your job, resign, hop and go. No, I'm saying make a plan. there are always options out there. If we look hard enough, you see someone who's looking for your skills.
Mm-hmm. Yemi, this has been a true delight. I know that everyone is wondering, yes, you are going to get the recording. Don't worry, it's coming. You're going to get your badge. If your question didn't get answered, I would encourage you to post it somewhere. We would be here for hours if we to be able to answer all the questions that came in. So I hope people can go and watch the recording again. And I think maybe they'll find a lot of the answers to the questions that they asked within. I am so appreciative of the time that you made. I know our Nexford learners are excited, and also the broader community that joined. We are delighted to be connected here, and appreciate you being such a good friend of the university. So thank you so much, Yemi.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. And I see somebody asking if I am ready to ask questions via emails. If you check me up on any of the social media handles and you send me a DM, if you have questions, Instagram or LinkedIn or Twitter, anywhere you find me, if you send me a DM, I'll respond. It might take me a while to respond because of the number of messages that I get, but I always respond. So yeah, I can use my social media platforms to respond to some of the questions.
And I'll just say too, from my personal experience, honestly, following your LinkedIn posts and all of the mentors and through the global grid, you share such relevant and interesting content. So I would encourage people, pay attention to the information being shared out there so that you can pick up really great pieces of insight. And we're grateful to be part of that orbit. So thank you to everyone for joining, and looking forward to our next session in a few weeks. Have a great rest of your day, Yemi. And I am already looking forward to putting my notes into practice.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.